Morning everyone. Welcome to today's video lecture. So in the past previous lecture we have discussed about the concept of the plastic hinge, why it is formed, how it is formed, what is the length of the plastic hinge for any beam, and the plasticity of steel structures, the elastic plastic combination, how the stress strain curve for a mild steel is being idealized. All these things we have discussed. So now continuing with our discussion. In continuation with our discussion, we'll discuss about how the fully plastic moments is developed and all that things. So now let us consider this as a beam section. Okay. So this is any cross section of a beam. It can be any section, can be rectangular, can be circular, can be triangular, any cross section. So for that, any irregular shape has been taken. Okay. So now this is the axis. This axis is called the plastic neutral axis. Now you can see this is the stress curve. Okay, how the stresses are developed. So fully plastic moment has been achieved by this beam. So this above this neutral axis, both the areas I have yielded fully and plastic moment has been reached. Okay, so that is why this stress diagram is rectangular. It is not linear. It is not triangular. Okay, so this area above this plastics it is A1 and about below this axis area is A2. Okay, now suppose this is the centroid of this area, upper area. Okay, this is the location of the centroid. So what is the distance of the centroid from this particular point? It is y1 bar. And what is the centroid of the bottom area from this axis? This is the y2 bar. Okay, now since this is a stress diagram, so now upper portion will be under compression. You know all these things. You have studied in strength of material for beam section. So here uh, neutral axis, but there the thing is what you have studied that was for elastic limit. Now you are studying about the plastic limit. So we have two kind of axes here. One is the elastic neutral axis, one is the plastic neutral axis. Earlier what you have studied in the strength of material was finding out the elastic neutral axis. Now we'll find out what is the plastic neutral axis. The neutral axis is such an axis which divides both the section into two equal halves. That we will see. Okay. So now the upper portion above this plastic neutral axis, it is compression and it is under tension. This you know already. Same in elastic neutral axis, above the neutral axis it was under compression. Below the beam will compress. The extreme fibers will compress above the neutral axis. Below the neutral axis, the extreme fibers will expand. So the portion where it is expanding, it is tension. The portion where it is compressing, it is compression. Okay. So what is the force? Stress into area. What is the, since it is fully yielded, what is the stress here? Fy, yield stress. Okay, this is also Fy. So what is the compressive force here? Fy into A1, and tension force here is Fy into A2. Now for equilibrium, for a balanced section, we know tension and compression will be equal. So compression and tension is equal. That means Fy into A1 will be equal to Fy into A2. That means A1 will be equal to A2. Okay, and A1 plus A2 is A. The whole area is A, and A1 and A2 are equal halves. That means A1 and A2 both will be equal to A by 2. Okay, now this is A by 2, where A1 is the area of the section above the neutral axis and A2 is the area of the section below the neutral axis. Okay, so this is the equal area axis and this is called the plastic neutral axis. This neutral axis is the plastic neutral axis. It is not the elastic neutral axis. Remember, this is a very important point. So for further calculations, for further design problems of plastic analysis, we need to find both axes, both the elastic neutral axis and the plastic neutral axis. Okay, so there should be clear distinction between the two. Now, the two forces, tensile and compressive, will form a couple. Okay, this is compressive force, this is tensile force, and this is the lever arm distance between the centroid of these two. This is the lever arm distance. Okay, now what is the plastic moment? Fy A1, that is the force, tensile force into Y1 bar about the plastics neutral axis, and below section will be the tensile portion will be Fy A2 into Y2 bar. MP is Fy, what is A1 from this equation? A by 2 into Y1 bar. What is A2 Fy into A by 2 into Y2 bar. So Fy into A by 2 Y1 plus Y2, and this thing can be approximated at Zp, which is the plastic neutral plastic modulus of section. Moment of resistance is always equal to stress into section modulus. Here stress is yield stress. Since both the materials have reached the plastic state, is fully yielded, so stress will be yield stress into Zp. So now you can find directly for any material, you can find directly the plastic section modulus as Zp equal to A by 2 Y1 bar plus Y2 bar. For that, for both the sections, you have to find the centroid. Above the neutral axis, what is that portion of area? What is the centroid? Below the plastic neutral axis, that portion of area into the centroid. And area A will be known for the entire section. So that this way, this is direct formula for finding the plastic section modulus. This is a kind of a derivation, how to find the plastic section modulus. So in the same way, you have to find elastic section modulus. Elastic section modulus you can find, if you know the elastic neutral axis, you can find the elastic section modulus. This you have already studied in your strength of material. Okay. Now let us come to the next section, that is shape factor. What is shape factor? Now it is defined, shape factor, it is defined as the ratio of the plastic moment to the yield moment of the section. Okay. It is a function of the cross section form or shape and is given by this formula. S is equal to MP by My. As per the definition, MP plastic moment by yielding moment. Okay. So what is plastic moment? Fi into Zp is the plastic moment. What is yielding moment? Fi into Ze. Okay. So this Fi cancel out, it is Zp by Ze. So shape factor is nothing. In the actual reduced form, final reduced form, shape factor is nothing. It is the ratio of the plastic section modulus to the elastic section modulus of the section. Okay. So what we do in steel structure analysis, one questions generally, it is usually and very generally it is asked that area will be given an I section or you will be given a unsymmetrical I section, and then you will be asked to find out with all the dimensions of the flange of the wave and bottom flange, top flange, wave thickness and everything, all the dimensions you will be given, and you will be asked to find out what is the shape factor for this particular section. Okay. So then what you have to do, you need to find this plastic section modulus, you need to find the elastic section modulus. For this separately, you have to find the plastic neutral axis and the elastic neutral axis, both separately. And it's a very tedious problem. We'll do such design problems, and then once we do such problems, our concept will be clear. Okay. Now, say we have taken an example for a rectangular section. This is the most easiest section that we have taken here is rectangular section. For a rectangular beam section, the elastic section modulus is Ze equal to I by Y. You remember this I by Y bar. What is I? Moment of inertia about the neutral axis, and Y bar is the distance of the bottommost fiber, of the topmost fiber, extreme fiber distance of the extreme fiber from the neutral axis. That is Y bar. So in this in a rectangular section of depth D, Y bar will be D by 2, obviously. So this will be D square by 6. This you already know. For a rectangular section, 1 by 6 BD square is the, for a beam of breadth B and depth D, it is the section, plastic section, elastic section modulus. Plastic section modulus, this you have already derived earlier also. It is BD square by 4. Okay. Now BD square by 6, BD square by 4, the shape factor will be Zp Z by Ze. That is BD square by 4 by BD square by 6. It is 1.5. So for a rectangular beam, the shape factor is 1.5. Now for circular section, you can try for circular section, you can try for I sections also, different kinds of section. You can, any kind of section you take as a beam, and then you can try for it. Okay. So this is the shape factor. Now, what is load factor? Load factor, it is defined as the ratio of the collapse load to the working load. Okay. Collapse load will occur in the plastic stage, and working load is within the elastic stage. So that ratio of the collapse load, that load at which the structure finally fails or finally collapse, breaking starts, the failure of the structure will start. That is the collapse load, or the ultimate load you can tell, and the working load. Okay. So this ratio is called load factor. So this is given by PU, P ultimate by P working. So again, it can be taken as ratio of moments also. Force into lever arm is moment, lever arm distance is same. So ratio of force will be same as ratio of moments. So MP by MW. plastic moment by working moment. So what is plastic moment? Fy into Zp. What is working moment? F into Z. Here working moment is not Fy. Remember this thing, because it has not reached the yield stress. In case of elastic limit, it has not reached the yield stress before yielding up to elastic limit. Okay, the linear portion. Then this is why we have taken as F and not Fy. So now Fy by F into Zp by Zd we have already discussed in this section. What is Zp by Zd? It is S. Zp by Zd is shape factor S. So here this is factor of safety. Fy by F is yield stress by working stress, is nothing but your factor of safety. We have already studied this in previous RCC classes. So factor of safety into shape factor. So finally you can reduce that. Load factor is factor of safety into shape factor. So if you know the shape factor, if you know the factor of safety, you can find the load factor, or alternatively, if you know the load factor, if you know the factor of safety, you can find the shape factor. Anyone you can find, but provided factor of safety should be known. Now Fy by F is given as the factor of safety of the material, which is ratio of yield stress to working stress. Now mechanism. Okay, this is another important part. The load factor, shape factor part we have understood. We have understood the plastic moment. We have understood the plastic section modulus and all this. Now mechanism. What is a mechanism? So let us understand this concept. When a structure is subjected to a system of loads, okay, it is stable and hence functional until a sufficient number of plastic hinges have been formed to render the structure unstable. What happens is, suppose there is a structure. Let us consider a column or a beam, any structure, or a portal frame, you can say. So when the structure is constructed, when it is there, like in the site, so working loads will start acting on it, live loads will start acting, dead load will start acting, everything will start acting on it. Okay. Now the thing is, here what we have to do, as the load is increasing from elastic limit, it goes to the plastic stage. And then before plastic stage, yielding will start. It will reach the lower yield point, upper yield point, lower yield point, and then it will enter the plastic stage. Once it enters the plastic stage, plastic hinges will start forming. Okay, at various parts. I'll tell you where the location of plastic hinges will be formed. The formation of plastic hinges is the initiation of failure of structure. Remember this thing. Until and unless plastic hinges are not formed, your structure cannot fail. Your structure cannot enter the plastic stage. Okay, so this is a very important point. So as soon as the structure reaches an unstable condition, it is considered to have been failed. An unstable condition will only reach when sufficient number of plastic hinges will be formed. Not one or two. There has to be adequate number of plastic hinges in any structure to cause failure. And this process of formation of these plastic hinges is nothing but mechanism. Okay. Now the segments of the beam between the plastic hinges are able to move without increase of load. That means able to move without increase. That means it has reached this statement. The section of between two plastic hinges. Suppose a beam is there, a fixed beam is there. Okay, and you are applying a fixed beam is there, so it is fixed at the both ends, and you are applying a load at the mid span of the beam. So the location of the plastic hinges will be, first the plastic hinge will form under the load, that is the plastic moment that it will form, and then the hinges will form at the fixed end, fixity. So there will be three hinges, two at the both fixed end and one at the center. So as soon as all the three hinges are formed, failure will start of the structure. Okay, so this condition is called the mechanism. So once the hinges are formed and the flow of the structure occurs, that is plastic stage occurs without increasing load, any increase in load, the segments of the beam is moving. Okay, so this means that it has entered the plastic stage. Hinges are already formed. So this condition is called as the mechanism. So now for the collapse of the structure, the number of plastic hinges required are R plus 1, or R is the degree of redundancy. Now you already in your theory of structures classes, you have understood the concept of your determinate structures and indeterminate structures. Indeterminate structures are those structures we have certain degree of redundancy. Say a propped cantilever. A propped cantilever is an indeterminate structure of degree of redundancy 1. Okay, so what is the value of R there? 1. So what is the number of plastic hinges? Minimum number of plastic hinges required to cause failure will be R plus 1, that is 1 plus 1, 2. So this is how you find out the minimum number of plastic hinges. Okay, the adequate number of plastic hinges required is R plus 1 to cause failure. It comes under all the mechanism part. Okay, now number of independent mechanism is given by n equal to small n is equal to capital N minus R. What is small n? Number of possible mechanism. What is capital N? Number of possible plastic hinges. And what is R? Number of redundancies. So you have to see this equation. Okay, first you see, suppose there is a structure, say a portal frame, or say, let us consider for an example, say any fixed beam. So plastic hinges will be formed at fixed end. Plastic hinge is formed under the load. Plastic hinge will formed if there is change in geometry, there is change in curvature, there is change in shape. Suppose any beam which has a depth of say D up to the midspan, and then its depth reduces to D by 2. Okay, so definitely moment of inertia for the first half will be 2I, for the second half it will be I. So here you can see that the moment of inertia is changing at the center of the span. Moment of inertia is changing, shape is changing, depth is changing. So where there is change in cross section, at that point also your hinge will be formed. So there are certain phenomenon of formation. There are certain locations at this point only hinges will be formed. So you have to find out for the loading conditions, for the fixity conditions, what is the number of possible number of plastic hinges that can be formed. So first you find that is given by n, capital N. Now you find for the given structure what is the number of redundancy. So for a fixed beam, what is the number of redundancy? 3. Fixed beam will be 3. For a cantilever it is 0. For a prop cantilever it is 1. Okay, for a simply supported beam it is determinate structure. So like that you have to find what is the redundancy. Then if you know the number of plastic hinges, number of redundancy, then you'll find the number of mechanism. That means if n is 2, that means minimum 2 mechanism will be required for the failure. You cannot go for with 1 mechanism. Now in the next class we'll discuss about the kind of mechanism, how the structure mechanisms are formed. Suppose there is a portal frame. Okay, suppose there is a portal frame. So portal frame, simplest portal frame will consist of 1 column, 1 beam and 1 column. Okay, say 1 column is fixed here, 1 column is hinged. Now here everything is based on the fixity, how the structures are fixed. Sometimes it may be both ends, both the columns are fixed at the ground. Okay, ground floor. So 2 column, 1 beam. This is a portal frame, simple portal frame, fixed at the both ends. Now load is acting. Suppose one load is acting sidewise, that is the sway load or the wind load. Another load is acting directly at the center, that is the live load, dead load, or whatever. Okay, vertical loads. So one vertical load is acting on the beam, one side load is acting at the column. So mechanism. So now the column will sway. So this is a column mechanism. When the beam will sway, this is a beam mechanism. Combined structure will sway. So this is a combined mechanism. Likewise, you have 3-4 mechanisms that we will discuss in the next class, how the mechanisms are, what are the number of mechanisms that can be formed in a structure. And after discussing all that, we have to understand how and the concept of virtual work. Concept of virtual work is also utilized in finding out the plastic moment or the collapse load in a structure. So that those problems we'll do. Once we do the problems, we'll understand how it all takes place. Okay. So this is it up for today. In the next class, we'll discuss the subsequent things. Thank you.